welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to do the coffee and books tag. I was tagged for this by Amy at Hearth Ridge, which is one of my favorite booktubers. If you are not aware of Amy and her channel, make sure you check it out. I've got a link down below for you. I may have done this tag or something similar in the past, but I've never done it Victober themed, so this will be fun. I don't drink coffee, however, I did make myself this really amazing looking hot chocolate. This cup I got from one of my daughters, my oldest daughter. I've got marshmallows and cinnamon, like it's all fancy. And then I have this little cookie on the side. So I found these cookies at Aldi last year and bought some for my oldest daughter. And then this year I bought some for me and for my second oldest daughter. And they're mug toppers. They've got little cutouts there so you can set them on your mug, right? Pumpkins and leaves. And so I've put mine, well, it's the first time I've used them. So cute. Yeah, the whole thing is just, you know, baby. So got that ready, got my questions ready. So there are several prompts and they're all named after coffee-ish things. And then there's a question to go with it, and then you name a book to answer that question, right? So here we go. The first one, Black Coffee. Name a series that's tough to get into but has hardcore fans. So I don't read a lot of series, but I did think of a Victorian book that is hard to get into, to enjoy, to finish, to even want to read, or for that matter, possibly to want to live after reading this book. But lots of people love The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. I hate that book. It's like, what is this? It is wretchedly boring. It is utterly stupid. The language is obnoxious. He's too wordy. He's too melodramatic. And I was just extremely disappointed also because I loved Daisy Miller. So like I've said before, I'm 50-50 on Henry James. The governess is extremely creepy, which I understand is part of the appeal. The way that she almost seems to be just in love with the young boy is extremely gross. Either the kids are creepy and psychotic, or the governess is psychotic, or both of them are. It is just such... the whole time I was reading it, I just did not care about this story. It may be one that I need to go back to, but do I even want to? I don't. I really don't. So I would say if you haven't read it, avoid. But there's others out there who will tell you it's fantastic. It definitely does have its fan base. Crazies. Side note, if someone hands you a cup of cocoa with a cookie topper stuck to the side of it, take the cookie off relatively soon. Otherwise, it dissolves into your cup of cocoa. Okay, number 2, Peppermint Mocha. Name a book that gets more popular during the winter or a festive time of year. So, again, the only book I can think of was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and that one's pretty obvious. So I'm going to say a genre, and for some reason, ghost stories. Ghost stories get popular in the fall, obviously, for the people who celebrate Halloween and just the dark and dreariness of the coming season, right? Puts us in a mood. But when it comes to Christmas time, there are a lot of people who read spooky stories at Christmas time, and that is a Victorian thing for sure. The Victorians were very, I'm gonna say, obsessed with death and the things of the macabre, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I actually made a whole video on that. You guys can check that out here. I'll put it in the description box also, about the idea of spooking ourselves. What makes the story spooky? Why do we want to read that stuff? Is it what is the psychology around that? And I think that was a pretty good video. So if you haven't seen it, check that out. But yeah, this time of year, through the new year, a lot of people read spooky books. Number 3, Hot Chocolate, your favorite children's book. Okay, that would be Magic Elizabeth. So ever since I was a really little kid, I had this book. It belonged to my mom, and it's about a little girl who has to go stay with her aunt. And while the story is not set in Victorian times, it's set in what was contemporary at the 1960s when it was written. But she has to go stay with her aunt who lives in a Victorian mansion and was a Victorian. And so she has to stay with her for, it's just a short time. Her parents are on vacation or something, and the lady who was keeping her couldn't keep her anymore, and so took her over to Aunt Sarah's house. And Aunt Sarah, at the beginning, seems very scary. She just seems like a witch even, and it tells the story of her staying there for a few days and just kind of the mystery that happens to her. She discovers a trunk full of old Victorian clothing as well as a mirror up in the attic. And it's just like the perfect little girl in the attic adventure, that whole thing that you always wanted to do when you were a little girl, at least I did. It's such a sweet story. And so yeah, I would definitely recommend that you check that out. It's not in print or anything anymore, I don't think, but they did a reprint in the 90s, but the cover was just not. No, you need the orange cover with the yellow drawings. You gotta have that. You gotta have that one. This is like literally my favorite book as a child. I've read it to all of my daughters. I bought them all vintage copies off of eBay. Like, it's a special book and just a sweet story. Next one, Double Shot of Espresso. Name a book that kept you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. So one Victorian story that I very much got into was The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It's a great story. It has several different narrators, and so it keeps moving. Like, it's just when one thing is solved, something else comes up. And I just thought that was just a really fantastically done story. I like Wilkie Collins. I'll talk a little bit more about him in a minute, but The Woman in White, if you haven't read that, definitely do. The next one is Starbucks. Name a book that you see everywhere. Yeah, there are a lot of Starbucks everywhere. I don't know. I mean, it's nothing, I don't, like, Victorian books are all, classics, and so we see them everywhere we look for classic books. And I don't want to sort of diminish their importance, I guess, by picking out one over the other. But an author that I see all over BookTube that I am really struggling to get into is Elizabeth Gaskell. I don't know. I have not read a ton of her stuff. So I've read her biography on Charlotte Bronte a couple of times. I did like that when I read it, but it also made me not like Charlotte Bronte, and I've had a really hard time trying to give her grace. There actually just reminds me of a video that I watched recently. I'm going to put that down in the description box. It is all about Charlotte Bronte and kind of making the case for her, for liking her and not dissing on her anymore. And this girl, it was such a well-researched video. I can't remember who it was or anything. I just came across it, but it was really good. So if you guys want to watch that, yeah, it's in the description box. But there's my tangent. Anyway, Elizabeth Gaskell. So I read the biography that she wrote. I read Mary Barton or Cranford, one of the two, way back, like before I was even reading Jane Austen, and I didn't understand it at all. I'd never been to England. I never read anything about England. I did not get it. I didn't get Elizabeth Gaskell, who she was, which her point was. Like, I just didn't understand any of that stuff. I didn't know anything about English history and the working class and all the stuff. So, admittedly, that wasn't very a fair look at her. I can't be really judging based on that, because it was my own lack, right, that kept me from understanding that book. And then I've read her Gothic Tales a couple of times. I've read through that collection, and nope, I'm just not having it. But I do have a couple of her big books, Wives and Daughters, North and South. Both of those, I think, are on my 50 by 50, and some of my BookTube friends have really been talking them up. I will read them or make a really good attempt, but right now she's everywhere and I just don't know why. I'm sorry. I've yet to discover the beauty of Elizabeth Gaskell. We'll put it that way. I have hope. Okay, next one, That Hipster Coffee Shop. We actually have a lot more of those in Northwest Arkansas than we do Starbucks. Give a book by an indie author a shout out. So I talk about this a lot, but Emma M. Lyon by Beth Brower is a really good series and set in Victorian times. She's just funny and spunky, and I've said before she's kind of like how I believe the actual person of Jane Austen would have been like had she lived in Victorian times. I really do enjoy that series. I think I'm on book 6 maybe. But from what I understand, Beth Bauer is an independent, like an indie author. I think she does have her own publishing, like she publishes her own stuff. But I just think that's great. Like the only place I've ever seen them for a sale, you know, they're not in shops or anything that I've seen. I've only seen them on Amazon and like Amazon printing and stuff, it seems. Again, I could be wrong. But she is selling these and people are reading them like crazy. And I'm just thinking she could get a book deal for sure. But why would you want one when you can do it yourself just as successfully? You make a lot more printing them yourself, that's for sure. So yeah, I don't know. But so yeah, she's definitely a favorite. And I don't read a lot of indie authors, so she's also the only one I can think of except for Victorians themselves. Like Amy mentioned the Brontes. And technically, yeah, you know, they were indie authors. Like nobody came looking for a deal with them, that kind of thing. But for a newer one, but still set a Victorian, that's probably the one I can come up with, but it's a good one. Next one. Oops, I accidentally got a decaf. Name a book you were expecting more from. So a Victorian book I was expecting more from. One of them is The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Now, I love Nathaniel Hawthorne. In fact, I even host a reading event in January called Nathanuary, where we appreciate the works of Nathaniel Hawthorne. I'm definitely a fangirl. And when I go back and read my review on The House of the Seven Gables, it's not a bad review. But the book didn't stick with me, I guess, is the point. It took me a long time to read it, much longer than I thought it would. And it took me a while to actually get into the story and understand the different characters. I actually wrote out kind of like a character map, which there's not that many characters in the story, and I don't normally need to do that, but I don't know, something about the way it was written, something just didn't stick with me. Wasn't working for me well, and it was a struggle to get into it. It was a struggle to keep my attention. It did turn out to be like a great gothic, creepy sort of read, but I don't know, I think there could have been more, maybe faster paced, something was different. Like, I would love to have Wilkie Collins's like storytelling style and pacing coupled with Nathaniel Hawthorne's like philosophy, theology, psychology, and story topics. If you could have like a mashup of that. Next one, perfect blend. Name a book or series that was both bitter and sweet, but ultimately satisfying. So I'm gonna talk about Wilkie Collins again. I can't really think of a book or a series at this point, Victorian-wise. I don't think that I absolutely adore or absolutely despise anything Victorian. It's all kind of middle road for me. And the more I read and the more I understand about the people and the time and the things, the thinking, the ways of thinking, the more grace I tend to give. So, but an author is Wilkie Collins. Bitter and sweet. He's really hit and miss for me. I like everything I've read, but there's some that I really, really like. And then there's some that I'm kind of like, I don't know about this. The more he wrote, the older he got, the better they got. Like the end books are just like, yes. And the early books are kind of like, I don't know. so there you go. He's a perfect blend, I guess. If you have perfect patience, he's a perfect blend. Okay, and then the last one, an Irish pub song by the Rumjacks. Name a book that is misunderstood. So that took me a little bit. I didn't exactly know what was going on there, but my daughter and I listened to several versions with and without lyrics, and we studied the lyrics of the Irish pub song by the Rumjacks, which I hope I'm saying that right. And I guess we've just come to the conclusion that the Irish pub is so far apart from a coffee shop that that's what she used. That's what the creator of this tag used to represent a book that is misunderstood. I don't really know, but let's not think about that too much. The book that I picked for that was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I'm actually in the middle of reading that right now for the 20 billionth time. It's highly misunderstood. And thanks to a new movie coming out in a few months, it's going to be even further misunderstood because so many people think that this is a love story. Now, it does have romance elements in it, but super twisted. Like, you do not want to be in a romantic relationship with either of those main characters. They are both nuts, completely crazy, off the rocker, off the rails. You don't know. It would be very toxic. Bad, stay away. But they are very much in emotion with each other. I don't want to call it love because it's so twisted and weird, but I guess it is. I don't know. They are extremely obsessed with each other. And I guess if you want to go a twisted, toxic direction, you could say that they are in love. But it is a really messed up relationship for sure. All of the relationships, every relationship in this book, besides the very last one, seems to have been pretty weird in one way or another. But it is often touted as a love story. It's often on like the, romance, the top Victorian or classic romance lists and all these things. And anyone who reads that and thinks that's romance, like, oh goodness, I just want to give counseling, right? But I guess the new movie that's coming out is going that same direction in another twisted, weird way. So I'm not watching it. I'm boycotting it. I'm boycotting the new Pride and Prejudice, but I do want to see the new Frankenstein for sure. That being said, Wuthering Heights is one of my favorite stories, and I think it's just because Emily Bronte was just kind of so out there herself. Some of the, and I'll be talking about this in my next reading wrap up because I am, like I said, reading it right now, but just some of the things that some of the thoughts that she puts out in that story. It's the only full novel that we ever have seen of hers. Everything else we have is just little bits of prose and poetry. But to be able to write some of the things that she writes in that story, she just had to have been such an interesting, highly emotionally charged person. And probably no one really knew her. Her personality was probably most revealed in that story. There's just a lot in there, and it's good. It's a good story. It is different from anything I've ever read by a Victorian woman for sure, and there's very few Victorian men that I've read that come close to the level of just, I don't care that I'm a Victorian, I'm going to write whatever I want-ness that she did in this story. So really fantastic. It is always going to be one of my favorites. I tend to collect multiple copies of the books I love, and I have by far the most, Wuthering Heights is the one that I have by far the most of. I think I'm up to 12 copies or something now. People know if they see a copy of Wuthering Heights, they just pick it up and send it to me because I love them. How cool would it be to have an entire shelf dedicated to your favorite book? All right, that is it for the Coffee and Books tag. My cocoa is still pretty hot, so I can probably save that for finishing up my book today. I'm about a little over halfway through, so I'm gonna go finish that up. Hope you guys are having a good day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.